Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life is celebrating its 30th year of ministry this year, 30 years of transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. New Life Live is dedicated to helping you in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to New Life Live. Steve Arterburn here. Really glad to be back in the saddle again. I've been out of the country. I got sick, and then I had to go do some teaching. And it's literally been a while since I have been in the studio live, and I'm grateful to be here. Joining me today, Alice Benton, Dr. Alice Benton. How you doing?
Hi, Steve. I've missed you.
Thank you. I missed being here. And Milan, Yerkovich, you doing all right today?
I am doing well, Steve. Good to see you and good to be with us all today.
Good. Yes. Yeah, joining us also, Larry Sonnenberg's in the studio. And we're going to take your phone calls, and we're going to talk about some things that we need to talk about. But here's the phone number, 1-800-229-3000. We would love to speak with you. And I'm going to start off by, first of all, saying that we're going to be in the D.C. area. And we're going to be talking about life recovery and our 30th anniversary both. And we've got our 30th anniversary celebration on May the 18th. And then we've also got our Life Recovery Conference on the 19th. And we want you to come. All you have to do is go to 1-800-NEW-LIFE, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Or on our app or newlife.com, you click on Heard It on the Radio, that little icon, tell you all the information. But if you're in the Washington, D.C. area, this wonderful church in Fairfax, I've been there, spoken there. We love this church. That's where we're going to do our 30th anniversary celebration, and it'll be a great, great time. And so come join us. And also, we want to welcome new listeners on WKTS. That's Kingston, Tennessee. And we'll take your calls no matter what. What a great heritage we have in radio in Tennessee. I mean, you know, radio, so many different things were birthed in radio out of Tennessee. And one of the prized possessions of my father-in-law was a record that got played on radio right out of Tennessee. It was the only time, I think, Johnny Cash, let's see, who was it? Johnny Cash and the three big ones back then. Jerry Lee Lewis, and there was one other guy, pretty big, Elvis. Johnny Cash, Elvis Presley, Jerry Lee Lewis. I think those were the three. I could be totally wrong. Anyway.
And what was the song? Like, I hope it was a Tennessee waltz. I mean, what did they sing?
Something like that. Right. Anyway, hey, you come join us today, 1-800-229-3000. Now, also, I want to tell you that we are going to ask you to support this ministry in a way that we never have before. And we've been talking about Club New Life a lot, about being a $30 a month member of Club New Life and getting the access to this ever-growing video library that we're creating, and it's just getting big. How many do we have so far, Larry? How many are in the library?
Well, up online, it's right at 100. We have about 150 that have been recorded, and we're weekly editing and getting more up. So
yeah,
it's growing. It's growing quickly.
It's growing. You get that when you join Club New Life. Of course, you get the 8 books, Understanding and Loving a Person with Attention Deficit Disorder, Narcissism, Bipolar, some great, great books. Well, we're going to do something special. You don't have to give $30 a month because we need to increase our one-time gifts. We have a matching fund, and if you give $360 today, we'll give you access to that library.
Or more.
And more, and yeah, 360 or more, and we'll send you the books, and those funds will be matched. We'll tell you why we need that right after this. So we'll ask for some support in a way we haven't before. We'll tell you some honest things about New Life, and then we'll take calls at 1-800-229-3000 because that's why we are here. We want to help you. We hate to have to raise money and not help. We're going to do both today because both help. We'll be back.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Well, we're back. Let's go to the calls. We'll do that first, and then we'll talk to you about support. Let's go to Christian, New York City, New York. He listens online. By the way, everybody, this app, if you haven't downloaded the app, it's an easy way to get us and listen anywhere, anytime. But hi, Christian. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm glad you're feeling better. My question is I have an issue. I noticed that I'm having issues with submission with authority with females and job-related and in church. Pastors, my wife, and I understand where that came from. You know, my mom never gave me boundaries, so I was, you know, now I'm 40 years old. Got married about 8 months ago, but I'm struggling in this area with submission, and so I'm trying to work that area where I just want to better myself spiritually in that aspect where the Holy Spirit, you know, I'm able to be used by God,
right.
But I understand that there's interference.
All right, now Christian, you say you understand it. Where it comes from. Your mom never gave you boundaries. But maybe, Alice, we could explore that a little bit more and a little bit more detail on that relationship with Mom other than just, well, she didn't give me boundaries.
Christian, could you give us some specific examples that stand out?
Well, there's, you know, sometimes, like, for example, like to do something at the house, sometimes my wife needs to remind me that we need to do this, clean up this area and this area, and there's moments I know that we have to do it, but I just don't feel like doing it, or I just want to do it the next day.
Okay, that's good. That's good to help us understand the present. How about a specific example that stands out of how your mom didn't have boundaries with you?
Well, everything was done for me. You know, everything, the clothes, food-wise, everything. I was spoiled too. So, and I also noticed that I'm dealing with selfishness. You know, that it's about me, me, me. And when it comes to help others in the church, sometimes there's moments that I do it, and there's times that it causes me. Sometimes I have to pick up people from the church, and sometimes I feel like, you know, take a bus, take a train. You know, we're in New York City, we have bus and trains, but you know. So I fight with that, you know.
And Christian, it takes a lot of humility to call in and admit these things about yourself. Yeah. So I love that you're doing that.
Yes, absolutely.
Two more quick questions. I want to hear an example of how your dad was active in your life, if he was. And you said you've been trying to...
My dad was present, but emotionally absent. So so my father couldn't give what he never received. He was very dry emotionally. So I guess my mother filled in that gap. I guess by her, I guess what she thought was good is just to do all the things for me. I guess, you know, she's coming from a background that she never had much. So, but I bettered my relationship with my dad. There was a lot of unforgiveness with my dad, and I work in that process to forgive him. And I bettered my relationship with my dad. But I feel this part I need to grow with the females.
Christian, it sounds like it sounds like you're so aware and that you're a strong believer. You want to get better at this. Would you tell us one thing you've done to work on this issue you're calling about today, submission to females in your life?
There was a lot of confrontations, a lot of arguments with my wife, members at the church, even my pastor, who is my mother-in-law. She had confronted me with these issues, and you know, things had came up over, you know, just my breakout, you know, and I'm actually glad, and they were very thankful that I broke out because they were able to see this is what we need to work on, and I'm glad that there was no images being, you know, pointed. You know, like it's being not real, and so I'm glad that I was holding these things in. And
all right.
Sometimes I would just blow up to the people that I love the most, which was my wife, and you know.
All right.
Yeah.
So we want to give you some help. And I don't think it is uncommon for a lot of men to respond in a respectful way. I don't think it's uncommon that it's difficult to be respectful to a female. If your dad kind of didn't help you learn how to relate to women, if your mom, you feel like she wasn't really the kind of mom you needed in the area of nurture and, as you say, boundaries. But in what we do here, it's trying to help people repair and to totally transform that negative thing that's holding you back into something that could become a plus in the future. So, Milan, what would you say would be maybe the first area that something he could do to begin a journey of transformation where this isn't going to hold him back anymore?
Well, Christian, I agree with Steve and Dr. Alice. You are very transparent here, and I like that. But I don't think you ever had to do anything you didn't want to do yourself growing up as a kid. I think you got to do whatever you want, and your mom was a caretaker of you and never required much from you.
Yeah.
Okay, so what that means is you never learned how to receive authority or instruction from anybody. You basically, as you said earlier, were selfish. You just did whatever you wanted. So I don't know if it's as much females. I know females are very involved here, but the ability to be in authority and the ability to receive authority is essential for being a healthy adult, to give authority and receive authority. But most of the time to live reciprocally at 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock on the clock. And if you'd like a place to work on this, I recommend that you get Henry Cloud's book, Changes That Heal. And the fourth major section of the book is called Becoming an Adult. And he talks about this over-under piece. And it is a workbook that helps you develop your ability to tolerate being under someone. And if we can tolerate being under someone, then we can then at other times be able to be over them and fluidly change between over-under positions where I can give instructions and receive instructions. And I would say there would be a place where you could do some work, and it would be very, very on point to right where you're struggling.
And I would recommend also, if you were to go online and just Google this question, how did Jesus treat women in the Bible? I think you're going to find a tremendous amount of respectful, honoring treatment of women. No depersonalization, no objectification whatsoever. The other thing that you can do to kind of start to change the way you operate is to look at the courageous women of Scripture who really put it all on the line, like Esther and others like that. And here's what I would hope for you. God says in Romans 12:2 that you could literally transform your life by changing the way you think. And so I believe it does start with changing the way you think about women. Not the women that you've had an experience with or that you're having experiences with, but start to think about women. They are not in any way inferior to men. They're we're to be in mutually submissive relationships with women according to Ephesians 4:31. And so I would want that for you as a foundation. Start to look at the Bible and Jesus and what the Word says about women, and I would study that and then go to work on any resentment, bitterness, anger that you have toward any woman in your life, because that's where Satan gets the foothold, is we carry this bitterness and resentment or even disregard for someone or depersonalizing them and carrying that over to other people. That's where I do the work. Start with what you think and then move to how you feel about women and certain women, and maybe that could be the beginning of transformation. And I would encourage you with everything you've got to get into a strong Christian counseling relationship, so that whatever you're working on, somebody's going to help you go deeper. And I am really glad that you call, Christian. Hold on, and we'll send you a copy of, I'm going to send you Take Your Life Back, because right there it's got an amazing section on how do we go to responding to people rather than reacting to folks out of our past. So get that to you. Anybody else, you can get it at 1-800-NEW-LIFE or newlife.com. Well, Larry, in this final, before we go to a break, let's talk about something that happened this weekend. You were at our Every Man's Battle workshop. Alumni come back and you ask them, we always ask them, hey, could you help us out financially? And tell us about one specific alumni member that understands this ministry.
Yeah, when alumni says, can I come in and sit on the main sessions, just sit in the back of the room, we say, yeah, but here's the one thing we ask. Just make a gift to New Life. We don't set an amount. We don't make any requirement other than just make a gift. So Saturday, I don't remember if it was Friday afternoon or Saturday morning, man comes in, we shake hands, and he says, hey, I got something for you. And he puts a check folded up real small in the palm of my hand. And when he left the room, it's awkward. I never want to open up the check and look surprised or disappointed or whatever.
I'll just slip
that's
in my
it.
pocket.
Yeah, right.
So I opened up the check and looked, and there was $10,000.
Wow.
$10,000 check. And he said to me a couple times, but on his way out, I thanked him again on Sunday morning. And he said, you know what? I believe in this ministry. And he said it with passion and enthusiasm. He's part of a Sustained Victory group that's been going on for years. These guys meet together once a year at least. It's changed his life. And that's why we do what we do. There's a lot of ministries that aren't quite as, I say, sexy to give to, because people like to kind of, I support the kids in Africa, or I support the problems we had with the floods in Houston, or whatever it is.
All the things that we want people to support, certainly. We're not, but we want a place at the table also. I was with some men, you were with some men, and I literally had a man who has given, hundreds of $1,000s to ministries. And half of the people there were folks from our ministry. And they were telling the others about how they wouldn't even be married today if it wasn't for New Life. They wouldn't have their business or whatever. And this one man said to me in private, he said, I've given money for these orphanages. And so it's really hard for me to see giving to New Life. And I think about, we don't have pictures of depressed people that we pass around and say that you could help this person. We don't have pictures of folks that are going to be in divorce court. But look at the amount of lives that are being fed because divorce has been averted. 95% of the folks that come to our marriage intimacy intensive, they have a positive result. They stay together. And some of the statistics show 75% are going to leave if something good doesn't happen.
Steve, let me speak to that.
Yeah.
One of the counselors working at our workshop said, boy, you really have got to talk to so-and-so. I said, why is that? He said, he called me this week and he said, you have no idea of the lives that have been affected by what you guys do at Every Man's Battle. I came here a few years ago, he said, and it's changed my life. It's changed my wife's life. It's changed my kids' life. It's changed my coworkers' lives, all because he's a different person and responds and deals with people differently than he ever has before.
Yeah.
So changing one life, the ripple effect is enormous.
Right. Yeah. And that's the workshop. We know people have no money whatsoever, but they have access to a radio or the internet. And this is the only counseling that they ever get. This is the only advice. This is the only piece of the whole counsel of God that they receive. So I'm going to ask you to call us right now and help us. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Would you do that? If you've been blessed by this ministry in any way, we are not able to pay our bills. What does that mean? We are not going to stay on some stations if things don't change, and we want to be here. 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here. Really glad you're with us here today. 1-800-229-3000. 1-800-229-3000. That's our 800 number to get on the line. We want to help you. Want to give you some advice, some insight maybe that you don't have. 1-800-229-3000. We're going to be in the studio for another 2.5 hours. We'd love to be with you then. Now, remember, May 18th, that's Friday afternoon, that's our Life Recovery Conference, and it goes over until Saturday morning. And then on Friday evening, we do our 30th anniversary celebration at Fairfax Community Church. Dave Stoop's going to speak. I'll speak. Chris Williams and Chris Buckingham is going to be there. Things like the opioid epidemic, understanding and loving a person with chemical dependency, depression. We're going to talk about these recovery laws, this law of powerlessness, and what does that produce, and surrender, forgiveness. All of these things we're going to be going over. But you'll have a great time. If you come to the celebration, you know we're going to give away a lot of free stuff. It'll be a fun time for you, and we'll celebrate what God has done in the past 30 years.
When is that, Steve?
That is May 18th and 19th. And, you know, we're talking to you today because we would like to see New Life continue to grow. And we're really up against a wall here. Summer is coming on. And our support it has been better than last year, but we haven't been able to go outside of New Life and to publicize and tell people about the workshops that we do. And the workshops provide funding for this ministry also. So we really need some help so that we can get the word out about what we're doing. And if you can help us, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. A $360 gift or more will send you the 8-book library, Understanding and Loving a Person Who, 8 different books on 8 different topics. And then you get access to the ever-growing New Life video library on things that you want to know about. And people love this library. And the videos have so much information in such a short time, and you'll want to share them with other people.
And Steve, I just want to say thank you to everybody who has been giving. Mm-hmm. It's amazing.
Yep, they do. They really do. It's phenomenal how many folks support us. And if you've ever seen people transformed in a weekend, you know, we don't fix everything, but the trajectory of their lives change. It's not hard to support us, like that man who gave a check for $10,000 as an alumnus of Every Man's Battle. Well, let's go to Tina, Jacksonville, Florida, WTRJ. That's the station. Hi, Tina. Welcome to New Life.
Hi, thank you.
Yes, glad you're with us here today. How can we help you?
I have probably several questions. Just found out that my husband is a porn/sex addict on March 24th. We've been together for 12 years, and it's been overwhelming.
And you had no idea? You had no idea?
No, none at all. And there's a lot more to it, a lot of bizarre things I think that are bizarre that he was doing along with the porn. I just happened to find a screenshot of a website on his phone, and instead of confronting him, I sent him a text and had question mark why. And of course, ever since that time, he's been telling me I can get some truth out of him, but then there's a lot of lies too. But there were other things that he was doing as well that I can't understand, and I can't rationalize. Of course, he was looking at pictures of naked women, videos. Of course, he would do what they usually do when someone's addicted to porn. He was also watching videos on things that are called pegging and milking, which I am not familiar with those until he told me.
Well, let me ask you this. So we're just going to assume that, the unimaginable has been discovered by you.
Yeah.
Now, what is his response? Because sometimes a man will say, I wondered how this was going to end. I'll get all the help that I can get. Others, it's not that bad. And then others say, no problem at all. What was his response to you?
At first he lied, and he has been lying ever since when I ask him questions. One moment he seems sympathetic and he's saying, I'm sorry, and then the next minute he's completely indifferent. He has went to a professional counselor, which I made the first appointment for him. You know, even with all of this, I'm still trying to help him, even though I am deeply wounded. We went to a pastor at my church together. But there's a lot more to it. He was going on Craigslist, and he was looking at prostitutes, male and female prostitutes, and reading the explicit graphic details that they put on those ads. Okay. He was going to sex stores and getting toys and using them on himself.
All right, so like I was saying, you're experiencing the unimaginable, and now you've gone to this counselor, and what have you gone yet?
Well, he has gone twice to a professional counselor, but he refuses to tell me what he shared with the counselor. He says that he has been, he refuses to share with me what they discussed, citing HIPAA, the Medical Privacy Act.
Oh, brother. Okay. Okay, that is a new one, that we cite a federal regulation on why we're not going to share. Now listen, if he thinks that you would believe that's why he's not sharing anything with you, he has absolutely no respect for you whatsoever.
It's one more thing that it just has me completely floored. I mean,
all right, we're gonna help you right after this.
We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here. If you want to join us on the program, it's 1-800-229-3000. That's the number, 1-800-229-3000. We're live, and we're going to do a couple other programs right after this. So we'll be here 2.5 hours or 2 hours and 25 minutes. 1-800-229-3000. So come, we'll give you all the help that we possibly can give you. Right now, Tina has described for us some really bizarre things. And Tina, this is a classic case of, here's a man, and tell me if I'm over-exaggerating, with his sexual addiction and perversion. After 12 years, you discover it. He has literally ripped your heart out. Would you say that that's true?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and so he has literally ripped you from the soul, from your heart, destroyed all security and confidence. And his response to this hurt that he's thrown at you, I'm going to go see a counselor once a week. It was
my idea to
for him
to go.
But what I'm saying is, it shows you how deep into this addiction that he is. You have ceased to exist as a human being in his mind.
I agree. And there's just one more thing that is just, all of that is horrible, what he's done, but there's one more thing that he was doing that it completely floors me, and I don't know how to process it. I don't know how to feel. He was married prior to me. His wife passed away. They were together for 25 years. She passed away in 2004. He just informed me last weekend that he has been looking at pictures of her, but not just regular pictures of her naked. His wife passed away in 2004, and
I'm so sorry. Of course.
I don't know what to do with that information.
Oh, no, I'm so sorry. And it's just another example of how disregarded you are and how much that addiction has hold of you. Now, in this 12 years, did you guys go to church together?
We have, yes, we have. And all these years, he has professed his faith, and he goes to church, and he says, amen. We pray together, read the Bible together. And the thing about it is that the pastor that we saw feels like this has been going back 15, 20 years. And it's like he's been living a double life.
All right. So we're going to give you some help, and I'm going to start with Alice, and we'll go to Milan here. Alice, what does she need to do?
Boy, Steve, I don't even know, Tina, how you're holding it together to talk with us about this. This wound is so fresh. We can only imagine how devastated you are to find out about this so recently. I'm most concerned about your safety. I hear you're asking why. Of course. Why is he doing this? You want an explanation. You want to be able to understand. I want to redirect your attention briefly to think about your own safety. And I wonder if you have any children.
I do. I have 2 grandchildren. However, they're by a previous, it was from a previous marriage. And that's what I'm thinking now is, do I move out? Do I do I get a divorce? What do I do? I mean, I know I can't, my pastor is telling me I can't help him. He's got to want to get help and help himself. I have to worry about me, but it just...
And Tina, I'm going to step in with you there because I think you're thinking about the right things. The way your husband is responding early on, although he spoke with the pastor, he went to the session, there are such red flags with how guarded he is about what is truly going on and his unwillingness to share the truth with you right now. And so you brought up divorce. I would offer a step earlier on than that, which is at the very least seeking legal consultation and considering possibly a legal separation for a couple of different reasons. To protect yourself at this point because your husband is not worthy of your trust. But also, when we create a little bit of distance to protect ourselves emotionally, it can sometimes be the thing that helps motivate a spouse in a position like your husband is to begin to tell the truth, to begin to open up to the real process of healing here. Would you be willing to talk with an attorney?
Actually, yes, I would. I actually have an appointment tomorrow.
Good. All right, you're taking...
I do. And just to mention, the pastor, 2 pastors that have canceled us, both have said that he's a narcissist. He denies it. I see narcissist tendencies. I don't want to believe it. I don't want to believe all of this other that I found out too, but it's there and it's real. And, for the first month, I've been in a complete and total shock.
Of course.
Traumatized, if you will. One day I'm okay, and I'm like, okay, I can do this. My hope is in God. My only hope is in Jesus. And then I pray, I read my Bible, and I'm okay. And then the very next day, I'm raging. I'm so hurt.
Well, and Tina, I need to ask about that because of course you're going to be so hurt and angry. You're doing a lot of the right things. You're checking off the boxes of protecting yourself, of pursuing the spiritual path here. Is anybody ministering to your soul? Do you have a group of safe women that you're able to reveal the depths of your embarrassment about this, your shock at finding out what your husband is doing, the extent to which he's doing it? You're talking to us, which is so courageous. Are you saying no? No?
I do not. I did try to speak with his mom, but she just minimized it. And his sister, and they both say, well, every man does it, but they don't know to the depth of what he was doing, including looking at naked pictures of his deceased wife, which
Tina,
I'm sorry, but that just grosses me out.
Would you let us connect you with safe women who know what to do in a situation like this and who can relate to you and who know, this may happen a lot, but it is not good, it's not normal, it's not acceptable. Would you let us here at New Life connect you with women that can walk alongside you, understand you, and help guide you through this?
Absolutely, that's what I need. Absolutely, I would.
You're going to have a couple of options, and I'll just mention 2 of them. One is our weekend that ministers to women who are in your situation. And another one is our network of counselors that we have. We could look right there in your area to connect you with a Christian counselor. So after we've all spoken to you during this call, stay on the line because we can get you connected.
Steve.
Milan, any thoughts here? Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I can't help but say something. I want to read 2 real short excerpts from workshops yesterday that address what Tina's going through. One man said, "This has been very powerful. Most important thing I got was I learned how much I have hurt my wife God did give her to me to take care of, and I've not been doing a very good job, ! That happens at our workshop. The other thing was, a man said, I've learned I will never be able to believe my wife's love and acceptance of me until I've made myself fully known to her, that myself and consequently my relationship is only as sick as the secrets that are not brought into the light for forgiveness and ultimate redemption. If there's any way that your husband, Tina, even if you have to drag him there with chains to get him to every man's battle, he may not want to go. We had a guy come in yesterday. First thing he said was, I don't want to be here. I said, well, we haven't lost anybody yet. And he said, well, you're going to lose me. And by the end of the weekend, he was smiling, happy, and so grateful for being there. So just for what it's worth.
Well, I wouldn't just suggest, I would just say to him, you have literally destroyed my life, my security, everything. And I got to tell you, if you want me, the least you can do is to go to every man's battle and get this taken care of. Milan, a final thought here for her?
Tina, I'm so sorry that you're in this position. It is very shocking to women to find this out. I'm amazed at the levels of shock and dismay and, to use your word, trauma that women actually feel and experience. It rocks their world to hear that this level of deceit has occurred for this length of time. Mm-hmm. I'd like to suggest to you that you're really not married to this man. He's married to something else. Number two, you need to be, as Alice was saying, in some sort of a grief and loss recovery. A loss recovery that says, I've got to learn to deal with something that traumatized me severely. And I've been hurt and harmed. I must, as Alice said, care for me and make sure that I'm still standing. The last thing I do want to say, and I'm going to, if I could pound my fist on the table and not rock all the equipment in the room, I would say, no, every man does not do that. Yeah. Every man does not do that. So for your mother-in-law and your sister-in-law to say, hey, it's okay, every man does that, is it a lame excuse for not acknowledging the horrible place that Satan has taken this gift of sex and dragged it to. So I just want to say there are some men who do not do that.
Yeah. I hope you hear that. We'll be back after.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back, and I think that last caller just says it all about how serious the problems are of folks going to a church and everybody thinks everything's okay. She thought everything was okay for 12 years, and that's why we want to be here. And we don't want things to change. And we want to be on this station to help people that can't afford counseling, people that need the whole counsel of God. And, I was just in Dallas at this wonderful, I was speaking with the head of counseling at Dallas Theological Seminary and a wonderful friend, June Hunt. And these were all very, very wealthy folks that we were speaking to. And they were some of the best people you'll ever meet in the Christian world. And they literally have given millions and millions of dollars. But not one of those folks was a major supporter of New Life, even though when it was over, many came up to me and they listened every day to us, either on Sirius or the local station there in Dallas. And it's so frustrating to me because they may support another ministry they never hear on radio or they don't listen to regularly. But for some reason, I don't know what the message needs to be to motivate somebody to support us as they would any other ministry. And so I'm asking you to step in where others are not. If you really understand what we're trying to do here, the results, the transformation that we see happen, not just from workshops, but people going to the counselors in our network and people just listening to radio. if you can help us with it, please call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And if you could help us right now, this week, we have not been able to pay all of our bills in April. If you could help us right now, we'll send you these 8 books. We will give you access to the video library if you can make a check for $360 or more, and it'll be matched by our matching fund that we want to get to. So please, if you possibly can, help us. And we're going to be here for another couple hours. And so let's take another call here. But if you want to join us in the next couple hours, 1-800-229-3000. Let's go to Freddie from Washington, D.C., where we're going to be May 18th and 19th for our 30th anniversary and our Life Recovery Conference. Hi, Freddie. How you doing?
Hi, Steve. Pretty good. I'm glad to be on the show, and I'm really thankful to God for this ministry.
I appreciate that. I don't have a lot of time, but I wanted to get to your call. How could we help you, buddy?
Well, I live with my siblings and just us two. Our parents are there as best as they can, but I would say not really emotionally. But the issue is that my younger sister has basically how can I behave when she has a dating partner that really worries me? That's basically my question.
Why does he worry you?
It's a young man who started coming to church, and he was very, seemingly like on fire. He wanted to evangelize, be part of the youth team, and then out of nowhere, he really changed, and he was telling people that he had a terminal disease and that he was going to die soon. And now it's like he recovered, but it really had several people concerned. And so
okay.
I'm afraid because my sister has been depressed. I would say she's like a loner, and I feel like this guy really has isolated her, and it just worries me.
Okay, well, I would just suggest if there's any way that you could be part of his life, if you could ask him to go hang out with you, have a cup of coffee, something like that, and talk to him. And let him see you as a person, and let him know how much you care about your sister, and help maybe guide his thinking, and just be honest with him and tell him some of the things that you see that cause you concern. Milan and Alice, you guys have any thoughts here?
Well, I think I would tell him what you see. I would befriend him, but I'd also tell him what you see. I see moving stories. I see changing stories. I see attempts to get attention. Really, if somebody jumps into a leadership position, and then they also say they have a severe terminal disease, and then they say I've been healed, what are they trying to do? They're trying to get attention. They're trying to get people to look at them, admire them, et cetera, et cetera. So he's based upon those things. I would be concerned and ask him really what it is he's trying to really feed inside of himself. And even if he's aware of what is driving him, that's really important. And you don't do that in just one meeting, but you do that, as T said, by befriending him. And then I'd ask your sister the same questions.
Yeah, really good. And, the thing is, when he gives you these answers, then you go to your sister and you talk about, here are the inconsistencies that I saw, and here's his response, and this is why I'm concerned for you. And, I'm going to send you a book, Is This the One? That's the one that I wrote. I want you to give that to your sister. I think it'll help her.
I bought that book for her.
Okay, good.
Freddie.
Go, Freddie.
Okay, well, Henry's got a book. And have you seen Henry Cloud's book on dating, How to Get a Date Worth Keeping? I'll send that to you. We'll get that out. And hopefully something here is going to help her.
I have a feeling Freddie bought that too.
He might have bought that. Also, we'll send Take Your Life Back if he has. So we'll get a book that can make a difference. In the meantime, we want to make a difference in a lot of lives, and I cannot do it without your help. Larry, why don't you help us here at the end, help people to see what is our current need, and maybe somebody will come on board and help us here who's been listening today.
Couple of things I want to say. One is I just want to remind folks that the radio, it's free to you because you can turn on the dial and click it in and listen. but it's not free to us. We have to pay a lot of money. We pay up near $2 million a year for TV airtime. And that's, we have...
Radio airtime.
Radio airtime, yes. And it is, we need support in order to continue that on. And one of the things that came up with a couple people recently to me was, well, you guys are real psychological, but I just don't hear enough scripture sometimes, or you're not biblical, and I don't know what they're listening to. But I wanted to read something that happened this weekend just to let you know where our hearts are. Man at a workshop, and he says, I was initially resistant to learn and sat with my arms folded. I did so without any relationship with God. I pushed back with my counselor. He pushed back to me. For the first time in my life, I have asked God for forgiveness and to come into my life and my heart. I don't feel alone anymore. I mean, everybody that works with us, it's the scripture, the Bible, Jesus Christ is the center of our beings, why we do what we do. So if you're looking for an evangelistic ministry, there's not anything more evangelistic than what we're doing. So we need your support. We need $30 a month people, but we need someone who could give $360 one time or more, and then we can use that against this match. We've had a $235,000 matching gift. We've had about, $180,000 left to go. And so if you can help us with that, it's kind of desperate because that money sits there until we get the match. You send us $1,000 today, we'll pull $1,000 from the matching fund, and we'll realize $2,000.
Would you do it? 1-800-NEW-LIFE is the number to call. Please do. We really need your help. I don't know that we've ever been in a situation quite like we are today. And if there's any way a small or large gift could come our way, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And our number, 1-800-229-3000.
We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.